Welcome back to Unveiling the Truth. We're your host, Nefer.
And Nelly. And in this next video today, we're going to be talking about 5 practices that Catholics don't know they're not supposed to participate in.
Yes, and so without further ado, let's go unveil the truth.
Alright, so before we get started, just like we start off everything that is good and holy, we're going to start this off with a prayer. And I think a good prayer for this is the guardian angel prayer because it's kind of like protecting us from things that we know or don't know can cause harm to us.
Yeah.
Here we go. Over here. Okay, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here, ever this day be at my side, to light, to guard, to rule, and guide. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Perfect. So, you're welcome. I just protected you for like an hour today. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Just from that prayer.
You're gonna limit my guardian angel to just an hour?
No, my guardian angel is helping you for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, they can biolocate.
Yeah.
So.
You gave him permission for an hour. I'll give
just be nice to him.
I'll give mine permission for an hour too then.
I don't need yours. Mine is good enough. I'm kidding. Never's like, you're done. You're done.
Why not? I was good.
Okay, so this is actually something really interesting because there are a lot of common practices that happen in society that Catholics don't know they can't participate in or that it's not okay. And some of them are more obvious, some of them are little things that like you don't even think about,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's definitely quite a lot of these things, and it's funny, I'm reading this list and a lot of them are more like very, very spiritually based, and a lot of them are also just not necessarily practices that have a huge spiritual component, but at the same time are somewhat spiritually connected.
Right.
Like these last two.
Oh yeah, exactly. So things you aren't supposed to participate in spiritually or physically.
Yes.
And then there are also like mental things that you should like try to avoid participating in, like entertaining bad thoughts in your head or entertaining thoughts of like doubt in yourself or depression in yourself, just like stuff like that. There's a lot of those too. But those aren't necessarily for Catholics. Those are for everybody. These are specifically for Catholics.
Although everyone should avoid this.
Oh yeah, true. Very true.
Especially that.
Oh yeah, especially that. Okay, so the first one, you go ahead and do the first one and then we can go down.
Okay, cool. So the first one is yoga. I know a lot of people do yoga because they're like, oh, it's exercise and, it's physical fitness and whatever. And the church isn't against exercise or physical fitness. But the thing is, yoga does have a spiritual component to it that a lot of people do not know.
Right.
And so people think that they're just doing stretches and stuff. But the thing is, when you're doing poses, it's actually reflecting the spirituality that kind of influenced yoga to begin with. And so even if you say yourself, well, I'm just doing the stretches, I don't believe in any of the stuff, the fact that you're already doing those poses and stuff, you're already participating in some kind of a weird ritual. Sorry to say
right,
it like
no,
that,
it's
but
true. Well, and that's true. The church does say that they're fine with you doing stretches and stuff like that, but like you said, you can't have any of that spirituality attached to it. Like you serve one God, right? You don't get yourself involved in other stuff. Like, trust me, you do not, because even unconsciously people can get themselves possessed by demons, get their houses haunted and stuff just by little things like that.
Yeah. Like
I heard tattoos can get you possessed, like watching like scary movies can open up doors for that too. Or saying the Lord's name in vain can open up that. I know of a story where this guy got his grandkids possessed because he would say the Lord's name in vain all the time.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So his grandkids got possessed. So yeah, just things like that. You really got to be careful with this stuff. Like just put God first in all of your decisions. And make sure to do your research on stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That's another thing. Is just doing research.
Because like some of the songs that they produce in Hollywood now, if you play them backward, it's actually like a demonic
subliminal message.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Like you gotta be careful out there.
Did you ever? This is kind of off topic, but kind of not. Did you ever watch Gravity Falls growing up?
I watched a few, but it was kind of weird to me.
Yeah, because it's very
yeah, like I don't think
in that realm.
Yeah, I was gonna say we weren't allowed to watch it as kids. So as I got older, now I see why. But like as I got older, I was watching it and I was like, oh, this stuff is weird. I don't know if I like this stuff.
Yeah, well, I think about like the episodes that I did watch when I was younger, and they're it's just really weird. But that thing you said about the subliminal messages and stuff, there was this episode where like the guy is trying to like have his girlfriend stay with him, and he played the tape backwards, and it's like a subliminal message. But basically that show has a lot to do with those kinds of things. So that's probably another thing. It's just like shows and movies that have to do very heavily with those things. With New Age and occultism and just that very twisted spirituality. Yeah. Such as Gravity Falls. That's
literally all of Hollywood right now. You can look at any famous person, famous singer, maybe not so much as country singers and stuff like that, but like Taylor Swift, Cardi B, Doja Cat, you know, all of them, like Doja Cat, yeah, they all started normal and they ended up, Sam Smith is another one. All of them were like normal when they first started singing and they were good people and stuff like that, but then slowly as they got into that industry that's corrupted, it messed with their brains, and now they're all like supporting Satan and stuff like that, and saying weird things, you know, they're all pro-choice and they say like really vulgar stuff like sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, yo.
It's just, ugh, yeah.
Okay. So the next one which kind of pertains to the other one is like anything spiritually outside of like God, outside of the Catholic Church. So like, and don't get me wrong, the Catholic Church actually fully supports you studying and looking into other religions, because after all, the church is like, okay, go find your religion somewhere else and like do the research and you'll find yourself back here at the church. So that's the truth. Exactly. You'll find the truth back in the Catholic Church. So they actually allow, I know some religions don't allow you to like research other religions, but the Catholic Church actually fully allows you to go research other religions, go find the truth, and 9 times out of 10 they come back to the Catholic Church. But so the church supports that, but when it comes to this stuff, you want to stay away from it. And you can like research about it, but basically stay away from any spirituality outside the Catholic Church, such as palm readings, crystals, you know, like the energy auras, psychic involvement, mediums, hypnotizing, you know, like the signs, like what's your sign, that's against our religion. So it's just stuff like
astrology.
That. Yeah, astrology.
Astrology, not astronomy.
Yeah,
astronomy is a legitimate scientific like field of study. Astrology is just like superstition and horoscopes.
Right. Yeah. So if you ever hear anybody saying, I'm going to get hypnotized, or I went to medium today and she's reading my palm, it's like, no, that's against your religion. You better not be doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Catholics are specifically not allowed to, and you can't believe in the crystals energy, you know, like when they say, that aura, I feel somebody's aura, and horoscopes, like, no.
Even I know sometimes we kind of throw around the word vibe, like, this is a good vibe, but at the same time it's like sometimes people don't mean anything by it, but that also is connected to the whole like aura thing.
Oh, definitely.
And then one way you can kind of summarize this stuff is just New Age practices. New Age occultist practices.
Yeah, cultish, that's the word. Yeah, stay away from anything
occultism, very specifically New Age. And I think in this like modern day and age, New Age has become very popular because you know there are a lot of people who will say things like I'm spiritual but I'm not religious.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not religious but I'm spiritual. And it's like,
I like your little like voice. I'm spiritual but I'm not religious.
my little valley girl.
The valley girl, yeah.
Yes. It's like what spiritualism are you talking about? Like what is that? Like what do you mean you're spiritual but not religious? Like,
exactly, and that's the issue.
What spirits you be talking to, bro?
Yeah, and that's another thing is some people feel comfortable talking to spirits, talking to demons, supporting Satan and stuff like that, and it's like, yo, that's so scary. You can get yourself into so much problem. Like you don't know, palm readings can open up so much problems for you. Horoscopes and even just your signs, that can open up demons to you. Yeah. Like you be careful with that stuff. This stuff is like serious. The church absolutely under any circumstances is not allowed. I think they do allow hypnotizing for certain circumstances, like in therapy.
I have zero clue.
Yeah, I think there are some things that they allow for like hypnotizing if they need it for therapy, like if they're in a crash and they're trying to remember something. I'm not exactly sure, but for the most part, you just stay away from.
This is better be safe than sorry.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. Yeah, stay away. Anything that alters your brain, anything that can like alter your brain, the church doesn't like drugs, all that stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's really, I think this was really important because, like I said, New Age has been very infiltrated into today's society. And the thing, too, is that, well, like, I grew up knowing about New Age, although I guess I was still kind of young to recognize it, but I knew that there were, like, New Age things. And it is, once you kind of learn about that, it is very, very, like, deep-rooted into things. So, because, I think how you said earlier that you liked studying demonology. And I was like, well, I don't really go into that, but I did grow up learning about New Age.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, and so that all of that is kind of included in it. And it's even little things, too, like superstitious symbols, like the 5-point star. Or
6666.
Yeah.
666, yeah.
That's a whole other thing. Or even like yin and yang is part of the New Age thing. A lot of Chinese mysticism, a lot of these Oriental mysticisms. That is really just kind of like the origin roots of the New Age practices today. This stuff has been around for a really long time. Yeah. It's just that it kind of... It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It disguises itself in different ways according to the times.
Right. Well, the devil it's not like the devil could come out into plain sight.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like he does that now, though, and people accept it. But
yeah, so it's not like you're directly like, bowing down to a Buddha or something. Yeah. But a lot of these things are directly tied to those kinds of similar beliefs.
Well, something similar to that is like the peace sign. You know,
oh yeah,
so I used to be like
the 3 thing.
Yeah, I used to like that growing up, and then one day I saw a picture, and it was basically what it was basically representing in the picture. And there's like an article talking about it, but it was like the cross, but its arms were broken. Its arms were broken, and the cross is upside down. So I was like, oh.
I knew it was bad, but I didn't know why.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
So yeah, ever since then I was like, I don't like peace signs anymore.
That's why I just do this now.
Yeah, peace.
Cool. So next one.
The only peace we need is the peace from the Holy Spirit. Thank you very much.
Yes. Peace be with you. All right, the next one. Definitely everyone should avoid this. Ouija boards. Mm-hmm. That is direct, like.
No, seriously.
Satanism. That's probably, I would say, worse than all that stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, it's definitely worse than all that, because the thing is that I know a lot of Catholics who just think it's a fun game, who just think, you're together with friends.
Chills.
I know, I'm getting chills too. No, even my mom did it when she was a little girl.
Really?
She did it with her brothers, and she said she regrets it. Like, now it's out of her house and everything like that, but so many people get together and just think it's a game. They think it's fun. They think, oh, my friends are doing it. Like, it's not real. That is the best way to like get your house possessed and get yourself possessed, because that directly opens the door and lets the demons in. Like, you're directly talking to them, and and like as soon as you address them, you're in trouble. You are in trouble. And there have been so many possessions and so many hauntings from a Ouija board, so don't play with them, even if you're with your friends. And I know a girl who was another Catholic, and she played with the Ouija board, and she went to Father Chacon, and she said that she had confessed to him that she had been playing with the Ouija board, and the first thing he said was, get it out of your house. Get rid of it, like burn it, like get it out of your house, because she had kept it in the back of her closet.
Oh my god.
And the first thing he said is, get it out of your house right now.
Oof,
like, that is not cool. And Father Chacon is like known for like there was some point that someone told me he was an exorcist, but I don't think he is an exorcist. I think he just like studies this stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I heard he was an exorcist, but I was talking to him one day and he told me he wasn't, so maybe he was at some point.
I mean, he's just assisted in exorcisms.
Oh, okay, maybe, yeah, that's it. That's probably it.
I was gonna say, I think that also has to do with those like really weird, trippy, like demonic horror movies. Mm-hmm. So, because I remember this one time my cousin was watching this movie, and she's like, it's not a horror movie, it's a psychological thriller. And I was like, okay. And then she played it, and it was terrifying, because the little girl got like beheaded, and then they started playing with a Ouija board, and I was like, what the heck? Shoot. Like, why are you watching this?
I can handle any horror movie except when they deal with demons and Ouija boards. Like, literally every time a Ouija board comes up, my family's like, nope, turn it off, because just like watching that stuff is like not a course sure.
I don't like horror movies in general just because of all of that. I prefer to just avoid, but yeah, and there are a lot of horror movies that really deals directly with like the satanic stuff, and it's just like, bro, no, for like me. If you had any doubt that Hollywood is living hell, like that should be proof enough. So
no, seriously.
But I think I left LA. So.
Well, and all that stuff, like, it's not even just like if you watch horror movies or Ouija boards, but it could just be like if you watch like pornography, sexual things like that. Like, that's another way that the devil comes in and takes a hold of you. Yeah. And it seems like that's everywhere. Like, you cannot watch a movie without one girl in a bikini, and it's so messed up. And I'm just like, well.
Oops.
Yeah, oops, that's Hollywood for you.
You're like, oops.
Okay, so the next one is quite obvious. It's a doctrine in the Catholic Church, and it's an intrinsic evil in the church. And intrinsic evil is like with abortion, homosexual acts, and that's contraception. And contraceptives is actually used a lot more by Catholics than you would think. Like, my mom told me one day, I don't know what the statistics are now, but my mom said that like 90% of women have used contraceptives at one point in their life. Sheesh. Yeah, and even like good Catholics at some point in their lives. That's still sad though. Like,
because the church has never changed its stance on contraception.
Exactly. In fact, all the other churches, that's one of the things that made a lot of Protestants fall away from the Catholic Church is because contraceptive issue, because the Catholic Church never changes teachings. And it's sad that this is the basic beliefs of the Catholic Church, and girls aren't being taught it. Mm-hmm. My mom and I taught a CCD class, and we mentioned that contraceptives was intrinsically evil. Like I'm not kidding, like 70% of those girls like dropped their jaws. They couldn't believe it. They had been taking contraceptives their whole lives, and so they start coming up with excuses and all this stuff. I was like, no, there's no excuses. That is wrong. You cannot take contraceptives. Like 70% of the girls in our classroom, and I'm like,
well, in that case, the kids, that's just bad formation.
Oh, exactly.
That a lot of people, they don't know this.
That's what I was going to say. And these are like teenage girls. They were like 13, 14. And my mom was talking to me yesterday about this actually. And she said that the youngest age that the highest rate of girls who take the pill are at age 13.
I was going to say,
13 years old and they're taking contraceptives.
What does a 13 or 14-year-old have business in taking?
Exactly, that's the thing. Yeah, and they don't know what it does to their body. They don't know how it affects them. They don't know all the medical issues it gives them. But
even when people use it for like not for contraceptive purposes, but for like medical reasons. Yeah. Like acne and stuff. Even then, there's like lots of medical side effects.
Oh, definitely.
That are very harmful.
Makes you fertile. Yeah. Well, and I think a big issue is just like you said, the information is not getting out there. We're not being taught. My mom said when she was a little girl, they would actually teach it in the homilies and stuff like that. Now they don't necessarily do that anymore. It's a sensitive topic. They don't learn in catechism. Their parents don't talk to them about it. And if their parents do talk to them about it, it's them giving it to them so that they don't get pregnant. Yeah.
Or if it's like, or even in schools, it's the Planned Parenthood lady throwing condoms at us.
Yeah, literally. Well, and I was talking to a Catholic friend of mine, and I was kind of like playing devil's advocate with him, and he was telling me about his life getting married and stuff, and he said he only wanted 4 kids. And I said, okay, so if you only want 4 kids, if you only think you can afford 4 kids, I was like, so how are you going to stop having kids? Like, how are you going to control that? And he says, I'll use protection. I said, you can't do that. He's like, what do you mean? And he's a Catholic, and he's like a strong, devout Catholic. Yeah. And I was like, you can't use contraceptives in the Catholic Church. It's against the Catholic Church. And he said, I never knew that. I thought it was just the woman's business. And I was like, no. I was like, it's against Catholic teachings to use contraceptives. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that basic teachings of the Catholic Church are not being educated to the kids.
Yeah. And you know what I hate about like those birth control ads is that it's usually like a woman carrying a baby. Mm-hmm. Like, talk about mixed messaging.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, but on those stats on the Catholics as contraceptive, according to Pew Research Center, just 15% of Catholics say that using contraception is morally wrong. 41% say it is morally acceptable, and 36% say it is not a moral issue.
36, that's crazy, when every single Catholic should know and believe that it's wrong. Because like if you're a Catholic, you have to believe that contraceptives is wrong. Kind of like in the other video we were just talking about, you can't be Catholic and pro-choice. You also can't be Catholic and pro-contraceptives. You can't be. It's literally one of the strong core teachings of the church. Because life is beautiful. You don't want to play God. You can't play God. Mm-hmm. And
like we mentioned in that video too, it's kind of sad that in the pro-life movement, because it is an interfaith thing, yet the Catholics are the only ones who hold their stance on contraception. It's sad that in the pro-life movement we can't spread it as much as we should, because then you get into doctrinal issues with other sects and denominations and stuff. Which, if you really think about it, if you told people you shouldn't be using contraceptives, they'd stop having, they'd stop having sex like outside of marriage, because they're like, well, I don't want to get pregnant, and if I can't use contraceptives, then I guess I'll just have to abstain. Right. Which is why you'll end not end maybe, but like lower the number of unplanned pregnancies and lower the number of abortions if we like went straight from contraceptives,
Yeah, well, and we did a whole video on contraceptives. You guys should go check it out. We like went into the very details of it on every aspect why it's wrong. But in that video, we mentioned about Humanae Vitae, and one of the things that the Pope predicted was that there'd be higher divorce rates. If contraceptives was a thing, if it got like legal and established and everything like that, there would be higher divorce rates, higher abortion rates, higher pregnancy rates, and he was right about everything. Yeah. And more higher promiscuous rates. He was right about it all.
Yeah, I just remember this video where it was with Freedom Tunes. It was one of his older videos, like 2017. And it was like basically like these super libs are they're like, we're gonna bring back like the guys with a time machine. We're gonna bring back the World War II guys who stopped Nazism and whatever. And then they're like, oh, it was basically like throwing them all the progressive ideals. Although back then, if you were against the Nazis, you were mostly like conservative or something. And so this girl like gives one of the soldiers a pamphlet, and the soldiers they're like, oh yeah, so this is what like this one guy wants to like do and implement on all of us. It's horrible, like we need to stop it. And the guy's like, oh no, and she's like, yeah, I know, it's horrible, isn't it? And he's like, birth control is legal? And she's like, no, that's not the bad thing. But he's like, because that's the traditional way of thinking. He's like, how is birth control legal in the future? Like, how does that make any sense?
No, it's really sad, because you don't realize like everything physically and like emotionally that comes with taking contraceptives. Like, there are so many aspects why it's not okay. And they even do it in marriages too, and it actually breaks up marriages and stuff like that. Because think about it, the most beautiful aspect of being a married couple is now taken away. And it goes from, women like to think that it empowers them, that it gives them free will, when in actuality it just supports more sexual immorality, and it supports them being used, because now men have no consequences. They can just sleep with you and leave, and you're the one having to like take the precautions and everything like that.
Can't be going up.
But so we made a whole video about this. We're not going to go deep into this, but we're just saying this is something you should definitely avoid as a Catholic.
Yeah. I was going to say something real quick. It's also sad because there are a lot of Protestants, according to Kimberly and Scott Hahn in their Rome Sweet Home, there are Protestants that actually, when they do marriage counseling, they actually say like, what birth control are you going to use? Oh, so really? It's like actually encouraged in the other circles. So with Catholics, it's very discouraged.
Oh yeah,
and not just discouraged, but also like prohibited. Exactly. So keep that in mind.
Definitely.
Okay, so the last one is to not eat before receiving the Eucharist. So a lot of Catholics don't know that they're not supposed to eat directly before receiving the Eucharist. Back then, it used to be like an overnight fast.
Like 12 hours.
Yeah, and then afterwards it became like 3 hours with the Pius X Catechism, and nowadays the rule is the 1 hour. So 1 hour before receiving communion or 1 hour before Mass, you're not supposed to eat anything. Water is fine, because that doesn't break fast in any circumstance, but you're not like actual food, so no grapes.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, and my dad used to say that he remembered that it was like such a big deal for Sundays because they'd have such a big meal, not only because it's the Lord's Day and, you know, they're having a big family meal, but because they wouldn't eat after like 8 p.m. because after 8 p.m. you had to have that 12-hour fast, and that's when Mass was the next day, was at 8, so nobody could eat after 8 p.m. no matter how hungry they were. They'd go without breakfast, and then they'd go to Mass, you know, so lunch was always really big for them because fasting is an important part of the Catholic Church. Fasting increases prayer power, fasting mortifies your senses and stuff like that, but also the main reason for the fasting is because you know you're about to put the Eucharist in you. You're about to put Jesus Christ himself inside of you. You want your body to be a clean vessel for him. You want it to be as pure as possible for him.
Yeah, and fasting is biblical too, because Jesus himself says in one of the Gospels that there are some demons who can only be expelled through prayer and fasting.
Oh, okay. I
don't remember what the verse is, but it's one of the verses.
Oh yeah, fasting definitely increases prayer power.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of other like benefits to fasting. Like I heard that it's because you are suffering that it brings you close to God. It makes you closer with him because you feel him there more because you're suffering more.
Yeah, it's mortification. You get to offer it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So cool.
So yeah, these are just the 5 things that you need to avoid as Catholics. So let's go over the list really quick. Yoga, spiritual yoga, palm reading, spirituality,
New Age stuff,
mediums, horoscopes, stuff like that. Ouija boards, contraceptives, and eating before receive the Eucharist. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed.
Yes, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and check out the link in our description for more content like this.
Yep, we're praying for you. God bless you, and keep your fire burning.
Bye.